across sports, so to speak. Like I do think the Eagles are not going to have the league's #1 defense, and they're not going to have the greatest rushing season ever this year, so they're going to need more from him. I think
but he's shown he can give you more. He showed that in 2022.
Again, I think you're underrating.
No, the defense was really good, but they didn't have the run game.
They did not have the run game.
And the defense, they got a ton of sacks, but that's not all there is to defense.
I think that they are. I would argue that the 2 years they went to the Super Bowl, they had an argument that year they were the best defense in football. You could make a statistical or eye test argument.
That right there. This segment right here is absolutely haunting me. I'm just so... Do you know what's happening here? Do we actually truly understand what's happening here? What we're trying to invent now? What happened with Jalen Hurts in 2022? Do you see how we're now trying to take away Jalen Hurts' accomplishment even in 22? They don't want to give him credit for the Super Bowl in 24 because of the offense and the defense and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in 22, they now want to make that team something it was not. You want to say that there was an argument that was the best defense in the NFL, even though also, as Bruce stated, they didn't have the best run game. They didn't have Saquon Barkley or anything like that. But we want to try to invent like Jalen Hurts had essentially the same team and same situation in 24 that he did in 22, and that Jalen Hurts had less. Even though he passed a ton, he was top in the NFL in many passing metrics, didn't have the run game, and didn't have the top defense, but we want to create it and invent it as if it's true. They led the league in sacks, absolutely. And the Kansas City Chiefs were #2. And the Kansas City Chiefs were #1 in the most pressures in the NFL. And they averaged, the Philadelphia Eagles, 1 point less than the Kansas City Chiefs did defensively, points per game. The Philadelphia Eagles were 8th in points per game. So far from statistically the best defense in the NFL. But you know what? Don't take my word for how just special this team was, okay? Let's listen to someone else. This clip is Nick Wright revealing his NFL tiers entering the playoffs for the 2022 playoffs, where the Philadelphia Eagles went to the Super Bowl. This team was so amazing, so stacked, best defense. Yet, look where he has this team ranked.
Not the standings. That is correct, sir. So, and you know what? The committee is proud of the fact that it feels like, whether you guys know it or not, its football logic has burrowed deep into your brain, all of America. Because America doesn't respect the standings the way it once does. Or else the 13-win Minnesota Vikings would be considered contenders.
True.
Yet in all the football media world, you find one person who has them getting to, much less winning the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, however, you guys are still tied to the standings enough that while 13 wins doesn't impress you, 14 wins, oh man, that's the best team in football. It's the same. It's the same. They're both round 2 and out teams that had nice seasons. Brew, once again, you look like you bit into a bad brew.
Because this is horrible, Nick. Maybe the committee didn't hear. Jalen Hurts is back.
Is he though?
Yeah. He got as good a chance to get to the Super Bowl as any team in the league.
Right,
yeah,
well,
I said it.
It's
I like that.
a little embarrassing for you that you don't know who's above them because there's only 6 teams left. You probably should have been able to figure that one out. As far as you asserting that it all went great for Philadelphia, listen, I wasn't in Nick Sirianni's pregame meeting, but I don't think when he was talking to the guys, he's like, all right, guys, here's the plan. We're going to have to play the full 60 minutes and survive an onside kick to beat the JV Giants. But maybe, listen, Sirianni's a different type of cat. Maybe that is what he was going for. Next!
So that team, it was so stacked, so amazing, so great. Yet he had them ranked 7th going into the playoffs. And was literally making fun of them. And saying they're destined for an exit. and put them behind the Bucks, the Jags, the Bills, the Bengals, the 49ers, and the Chiefs. So this very team that Nick did not think was very good, who had the best defense and the run game, what are we doing here, man? Seriously, like what are we doing here? And now when we look back on that 22, we want to pretend like that team was stacked. That team had everything. Best defense, best everything. Jalen Hurts, it was a cakewalk for him. He had to pass a lot. He was mobile. He was top 4 in the NFL in total touchdowns. He got injured. They won 14 games. He went 14-1. He lost one game that season. And then when he got banged up and he missed the next 2 games, the Philadelphia Eagles lost. They lost. They lost to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys and Andy Dalton and the New Orleans Saints. And then he comes back and beats the Giants. And then they beat the Giants again. And then they beat the 49ers and they get to the Super Bowl. And then Jalen Hurts literally has a record-setting Super Bowl performance. And we want to erase that by inventing that essentially that team in 22 was so similar to 24 that we're just going to be like, well, it had an amazing run game, an amazing O-line, amazing defense, amazing this, amazing that. They had the best defense in the NFL in 22. Even though it's not actually true, well, we could kind of make it true. Where are these rankings? Nick didn't even believe that. You can see the date. 1/11/23. That's going into the playoffs for 2022. He didn't even believe that. He didn't believe that. But now, a couple years later, he does. And this is where it gets funnier.
Because of the personnel losses this year, that they are going to be closer to the 8th best defense in football as far as then the 1st best. And
Are you listening to what he's saying? That he thinks that they're going to have the 8th, they're going to have closer to have the 8th best defense in the NFL in 2025. Listen again.
That they are going to be closer to the 8th best defense in football as far as then the 1st best, in which case they're going to need more from their offense. And so that's where I think he will need to do more this year. And I think that'll be interesting to see if he can. Because
interesting to see if he can.
Because that part, I don't think it's unfair to say we don't know. I don't think it's unfair to say we don't know.
We literally saw it in 2022. They had the 8th best defense in 2022. And Jalen Hurts needed to do more. And he did. Do you realize that in 2022, the Eagles averaged 28.1 points per game? And in 2024, they averaged 27.2 points a game. I mean, Jalen Hurts in 2022 was top 10 in passing yards. And again, he missed a couple games. At the rate that he was going, he would have been right at 4,200. He would have been right with Josh Allen. And we would have been able to give him another 3 or 4 touchdowns, which would have then put him right around here, right between 5 and 8, right up there with Tom Brady, Justin Herbert, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins. And in that same year, he was top 4 in rushing yards. Top 4. He would have been number 2 if he didn't miss those 2 games, because he was at 758. Lamar Jackson was 765. Josh Allen was 762. I think he could have gotten another 10 yards in 2 games rushing. I think that's a safe bet to say. And of course, we all know he was number 1 in the NFL in rushing touchdowns that year. And then, of course, in that very Super Bowl, where that amazing defense gives up 30-plus points, they give up the most points ever in a Super Bowl loss. Jalen Hurts has to throw 38 times, because we know we're obsessed with this number 30 here. Throws for over 300 yards, a touchdown, 1 to 3.4 passer rating, and he had to be the leading rusher. 15 carries, 70 yards, 3 rushing touchdowns, and a 2-point conversion, where he got absolutely no run support whatsoever. None. 21 yards, 16 yards, 8 yards. Wow. Pacheco alone rushed for more yards than all the other running backs combined. But yet we need to see more out of Jalen Hurts. Or we haven't seen Jalen Hurts be able to win that way. I got another bunch of Jalen Hurts videos that I'm going to be recording and posting. One that I'm really excited to do. I got one posting on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And it's going to be good. But I really wanted to do this one as well, because when I see the conversation that they're now trying to invent around 2022, when Nick Wright himself said straight up that he did not think that the Philadelphia Eagles were this great team in 22. He had them ranked 7th. He had them behind the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals and the Buffalo Bills, and on and on and on. And we're now trying to invent that they had the best defense in the NFL, which is just a false statement. It's just not even remotely correct. And we can't make an eye test or a statistical argument for that. There's no defense for that claim. They had a lot of sacks. Yeah, they did. That's great. So did the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, like it's just ridiculous. It really is. I mean, Miles Sanders that year rushed for a little over 1,000 yards. I think he had like 1,200 yards. Like, what are we doing here, man? If they had like a top 3 defense and all those sacks, and Miles Sanders rushed for like 1,800 yards, and Jalen Hurts, threw for 2,800 yards or something, okay, we can see some arguments here. And if in the Super Bowl, they didn't ask him to throw nearly 40 times, and he didn't throw for over 300 yards, and he didn't absolutely ball out and outplay none other than Patrick Mahomes, we could have an argument there. But we just keep inventing stuff right here. We just keep inventing things again and again and again. And the problem is, unless you really investigate it, you forget. It's 2025 now. Someone says that the Philadelphia Eagles had the best defense in 22, and you're like, oh yeah, did they? I didn't even realize that. I forgot about that. Right, yeah. Oh, right, they had all those sacks. Oh, yeah, they had all those sacks. Right. Yeah, they did have the best defense in the NFL in 22. Yeah, you're right. Oh, and they did have a great run game, right? Oh, wasn't Miles Sanders cooking that year? Oh, yeah. Yeah, they must have had it. They had a huge run. Yeah, the Eagles always have a huge run game and the best defense in the NFL. Oh, and then they asked Jalen Hurts to do less, and that's how they win and get the Super Bowls. Yeah. No, that makes sense. And it's like, no, it does not. No, it does not. Oh, yeah, and the Kansas City Chiefs had a terrible defense, right? Oh, yeah. And they had no weapons. And, their O-line was awful. Oh, in 22, they had the number 1 offensive line in the NFL. Oh, okay. I mean, you want to see what this number means? 1,749 rushing yards. That's the amount of yards that the Philadelphia Eagles rushed without Jalen Hurts. Without Jalen Hurts rushing yards. You see this number? 1,612. It's a difference between around 100 yards. Do you know what that is? That's a Kansas City Chiefs rushing yards without Patrick Mahomes' yards. So nearly a toss-up. Nearly a toss-up. We just keep inventing things. We just keep inventing things. It's just getting insane right now. It really, really is. It's getting insane. You got Jalen Hurts playing awesome in multiple years, and you want to say we've never essentially seen him be awesome. I mean, that's essentially what they're saying. We've never seen him win and be great without just this juggernaut of a team with an amazing defense and amazing run game. Well, according to Nick's logic, we've never seen that then with Patrick Mahomes. Because in 2018 and 2019 and 2020 and 2021, he was flushed with talent. Absolutely flushed with talent. And then in 2022, he had Tyreek Hill, who's an absolute monster, had the best offensive line in the NFL, better than what the Eagles had in 24. So he was missing, I guess, his Devontae, but then had a top defense in the NFL, according to Nick. Because if the Eagles have a top defense in the NFL, then certainly the Kansas City Chiefs have to. If that's the math we're using, then you have to say that the Patrick Mahomes had a top defense in the NFL as well. Especially if you're saying that the Eagles had the best defense in the NFL. If the Eagles had the best defense in the NFL, then the Chiefs had to have been like 2 or 3 via the eye test and statistically speaking. So we've never seen it out of Patrick Mahomes. I don't know what to tell you, because then they won in 23, and it was the defense. They're winning games 17-10. Patrick Mahomes' passer rating is in the 90s. I don't know what to tell you, man. We've never seen it then. We've never seen Patrick Mahomes legitimately win a Super Bowl without an amazing roster behind him. That's the beauty of logic. If that's the logic we're going to apply, then that's the reality, man. I don't know what to tell you. It's very clear. 2018, stacked roster. 2019, stacked roster. 2020, stacked roster. Didn't win. 2021, stacked roster. Didn't win. 22, Nick's mapping it out that the Eagles had this amazing roster, therefore Jalen Hurts does not deserve the credit. That's what he's saying. Well, the defenses are equivalent. The rush attack is equivalent. The run game is equivalent. And the weapons are clearly equivalent. I know well, very well and good, that Nick Wright believes that Pacheco is better than Miles Sanders. I know that. We all know that. And who do you think he'd rather have? Travis Kelce or A.J. Brown or Devontae? So we can make the argument, well, okay, Devontae is one more person there. It's like, okay. What about special teams and stuff? What about in the Super Bowl having your punt returner or kick returner set the record for Super Bowl return? Does that matter at all? I don't know. How about your O-line being able to not allow a single sack? Does that matter at all? You had the best O-line in the NFL. That kind of weighs it out. So, okay, the Eagles got Devontae. Everything else is kind of a toss-up. The Eagles got Devontae, but the Kansas City Chiefs, especially in the Super Bowl, have an actual run game with Pacheco. Certainly did better than Scott and Miles Sanders, and they're actually protecting their quarterback, whereas Jalen Hurts was not. And like I showed you before, even in that very Super Bowl, Patrick Mahomes didn't even throw 30 times, which is the golden number that they say you have to throw for. And he didn't even break 200 passing yards. But he gets all the credit for that. You guys gotta help me make it make sense. What do we do here? Seriously, what do we do here? But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Philadelphia Eagles and Jalen Hurts and what he needs to show to prove that I guess he can do anything in the NFL? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment. It's whether you agree with me or disagree with me. Either way, let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.